Welcome to another video from explainingcomputers.com. This time we're going to check out Zorin OS 16, which was released on the 17th of August and is a Linux distro which is designed to be an effective alternative to Microsoft Windows. So let's go and take a closer look. Right, here we are on the website for Zorin OS, where if we click on download we find several editions of Zorin OS. And the first of these is Zorin OS 16 Pro, which is a paid edition. It costs £39, dollars or euros, and we'll take a look at this towards the end of the video. But I'm mainly here going to focus on Zorin OS 16 Core, which is free to download, so let's click to obtain the ISO. There we are. And here we can supply an email address and receive a newsletter if we wish, but we don't have to. I can just press skip to download to obtain the ISO file. And there we are, the file has downloaded, and I'm now going to use Balena Etcher to write it to a bootable USB drive. I've already inserted drive, which needs to be at least 4 GB in size, so we just need to select our image that we just downloaded. There it is, like that. And all we need to do now is to click on Flash, and to tell Windows we really need to do this. And I would note, when you write an operating system image to a USB drive, you will delete everything previously on the drive. And hey presto, our bootable USB drive has been written and verified, so we're now ready to install Zorin OS on a computer. And it's going to be this computer, an Odyssey x86 J4105, so let's insert the flash drive and boot it up. And here we are booting from the USB, and to do this on your computer you may need to enable USB booting, as I explain in my PC BIOS settings video. Anyway, once we have booted we get to this menu, which includes this third option, which is very handy if you have an NVIDIA graphics card on your system, as it sorts out the relevant drivers for you. However, here I'm on a computer with onboard Intel graphics, so I'll just select the first option to try or install Zorin OS. And of course, I'll speed on here until something of interest happens. And here we are, here is that something. We've now got two options. We can either try Zorin OS running from a USB drive. This won't make any changes to your computer, but it means you can just have a look at the operating system. But here I want to do an install, so I'll click on Install Zorin OS. After which we just have to follow things through, and nice and straightforward. We'll just set our language like that. And I'll take the defaults on the screen to download updates and install third-party software for graphics, Wi-Fi, etc. And we now get to the critical option where I ask what we want to do. Here I want to erase the disk on this machine and install Zorin OS, replacing the existing operating system and all data and programs and everything else, although as you can see there is an option for doing other things. But for me right now I'll just click on Install Now and accept everything is OK. We'll accept the timeline there, and I'll create an account, and to keep things straightforward in this video I'm going to log in automatically. And now it's just a matter of sitting back and watching Zorin OS go through its install process. So as usual, we'll speed forward in time. And there we are, installation is complete. We can now restart now. And here we are, we're welcome to Zorin OS 16. And one of the new things in Zorin OS 16 is this new first boot tour. I think we'll take it very briefly to show you what's actually in here. It tells you about menu applications, things like that. Allows you to change the appearance. I'll skip through this for now. We'll see that later in more depth in the video. We can connect online accounts if we really want to. We can link our phone and our computer if we wish to. I don't think I'm going to do that. We can learn about installing software applications, which include LibreOffice and OnlyOffice. But for now, that's it. I think we'll close things from here. And before we go any further, I'm going to make a few changes to make the operating system read better on video, and I'll come back to you after that. Greetings! Here I am back again with things like a much larger mouse pointer, And as you might have noticed, our desktop wallpaper has also changed. And this isn't because I've altered it, it's because the default desktop wallpaper here is dynamic, so it changes across the day. So in the morning it looks like this, and then it goes through by the middle of the day a bit like this, and then early evening like this, now it's like this, and then by the end of the day it'll look like this. But of course, if you want, you can pick any desktop wallpaper you like. As you can probably tell straight away looking at Zorin OS, it's a very stylish operating system. Let's bring up, for example, the file manager. I like the look and feel here. It's a nice system to use. It's very, very calm. It's a very reassuring operating system. It's a little bit faster in use, a bit smoother than the previous version. That seems to happen in most operating systems as they progress. We've got a new taskbar down here, a bit more customizable. We've got the Firefox web browser here on the taskbar by default. I'll run this up mainly so I can note for you that Firefox is installed here with all built-in tracking and telemetry disabled, which is clearly for many people a good thing. Oh look, we're on the world's favourite website where we can see things like quantum computing, all very exciting indeed. Let's take a look at what we have in the menu here. And the menu, I think the first thing you notice is this will be pretty familiar to people who are used to using current versions of Windows. And if you want to configure it, there's lots of really good settings available. Not only do we have the normal Linux type of settings, but we have the Zorin Appearance tab. And if we bring that up, you'll see we have different layouts available. And the first layout is what they call Windows-like. It's what we've got here. We've also got Windows List-like, which is slightly different. We can see the names of programs and they go down onto the taskbar, whereas they're iconified under the standard Windows one down there. We've also got a touch focus layout like that, where applications come up pretty much as they do in a sort of Mac-based system or maybe a Ubuntu-based system. And then we've also got a GNOME-based layout, which looks like this, gives us a dock and things like that. But for now, I think I'm going to stick with the Windows-like layout. Themes are also very easy to change in a very stylish fashion. I rather like the dark theme like that. I think we'll use that here. The interface here has got various things we can play with. It's got a jelly mode, which I'll show you because it's visual. Look, it makes things go all wobbly. And if we minimize things, they do that. If we go back, they do things like that. I think that's the last time I'll ever use jelly mode. On the desktop, we can add things in. I think I'll add the home there, and also we'll add mounted volumes like that. And we've got here control of all the different fonts in the user interface, the same way you don't in Microsoft Windows. Let's take a look at the different programs which are pre-installed in Zorin OS Core. There are a few accessories, as you would imagine. There are various games, including my favourite version of Solitaire, which I will resist the temptation to play, but it's good to have that included. They get lots of brownie points for that. Under graphics, we've got a photo viewer, we've got a GIMP, the Photoshop clone. Under internet, we have Firefox, we've just seen, and we have a remote desktop client. And if you're wondering where's the email package, it's hiding away in Office with LibreOffice. We've got Evolution Email Client. Also here installed, we've got basic sound and video tools, something to play videos, something to play music, something to control a webcam, etc. up there. And then we've also got various system tools, as you would expect, and finally various utilities. And we'll just go into the disk usage analyzer here because I think it's interesting to see. Here I've got Zorin OS Core 16 installed on a 250GB Western Digital Black SSD with a capacity of 244.5GB in total, and we've still got 235.2GB left with Zorin OS Core installed. So as you can see, it isn't a storage-hungry operating system. Right, here I am back again with a new desktop background, and I've changed it because there's so many wallpaper options here in Zorin OS, I thought I should try another one out. Anyway, this segment of the video is called Applications, and if you want to use your computer to browse the web, access email, run Office programs, view and edit photos, and play music and video, then Zorin OS Core may well have everything you need pre-installed, as we saw in the last segment of the video. And this means that for some people it can be a Windows alternative right out of the box. However, many of us need to access a wider range of software, and in Zorin OS we've got various options for doing that. For a start, we've got the Linux software installer here, which is called Software or Software Store. Let's just run it up. It wants to run full screen for some reason, but let's pull it down. It's probably me running some slightly strange scaling to make things look better in video, which is giving it some trouble. Anyway, this software installer has got the application catalogues of FlatHub, the Snap Store, the Ubuntu and Zorin OS apt repositories, as well as the capability to install deb and app image packages. And what all of that means, if you're not into Linux, is that here we've got the ability to install graphically loads and loads and loads of Linux applications. So let's just test this out. I thought we'd install a video editor because we can't video edit with the default programs here. So let's just go down to audio and video. And if we go down here, we should find Kdenlive. I could search for it. Let's scroll down. I like scrolling down. There's Kdenlive. Let's click on the Kdenlive video editor. And all I've got to do is click on install, and it should install Kdenlive. And there we are. It's finished. Let's just launch the program. It'll now be in the menus as well, but we'll launch it from here. And here we are running the Kdenlive video editor in Zorin OS, which proves the principle of installing Linux applications from the software store. But you cry, what about Windows applications? What if you need to run something that's only available for Windows? And Zorin OS 16 is as well equipped as any Linux distro to actually do this. And to prove it, let's first of all open up the file manager. I do like the file manager here. And I've got sitting in WinApps here, I've got the files to install Adobe Audition 1.5. And this is a fairly old edition of Adobe Audition 1.5, the audio editor from Adobe, but it's a version I can install without having to mess around with my online accounts and online registration, so I'm going to use it here for a test. And we can see over here the exe file for the setup for Adobe Audition. And here in Zorin OS 16, if you right-click on an exe file or an MSI install file, you'll find at the top it says Open with Install Windows Application. And the first time you do this, you'll get a message asking you to install Windows App Support, which for me didn't work. So I actually went back to the software store and did a manual install of Windows App Support. I'm therefore now hoping when I click here, it will install Adobe Audition. Do we want to run Setup Exe? Yes, we do. Let's see what happens. Very exciting. Wine has come up, so hopefully this will work. And yes, we're in the Adobe Audition installer, so I'll just go through this. And there we are, setup has completed. And oh look, software updated once we install things. Let's remind ourselves later about that. We've got a couple of things on the desktop. One will be information, one should be the file. Is it that one? Or is it this one? Neither of those is running up the program. Let's just go back to, Wine's installed. Now look, let's go to Wine and hopefully Adobe Audition. Let's see if we can run it from there. Oh, I'm crossing my fingers. And yes, this looks extremely promising. Yes, we have Adobe Audition running here in Zorin OS. And I won't press the spacebar and play this because I might get a copyright strike by Adobe for the music, but we proved a principle. We can install at least some Windows applications, and I will stress some Windows applications in Zorin OS using the facilities I've just shown you. Now, you might also be thinking about gaming. Can you play games here in this Linux distro? And there's more support for gaming in Linux these days than you might imagine. And indeed, if you look on the help page for Zorin and look at the Play Games section, you'll see there's various options you've got here using Linux games. You can install Steam, and you may even be able to get some Windows games running. But I think Steam is probably the best option, and I'm not a gamer, but I have actually tried this to some extent because earlier on today I went to the software store and installed Steam, and therefore if we now look under here under Games, you will see, oh look, we could launch Steam. There it is. And I don't have a Steam account, so I'm not going to log in and try and show you stuff I know nothing about, but I would point out there are a reasonable number of games on Steam now available which support Linux, and specifically if we look on this website you can find out all about them. There's lots and lots of stuff here all on the Linux on Steam page. And just to give you the headline, in July 2021 there were 54,380 games on Steam, of which 7,586 officially supported Linux, which is about 14%. So something like just under 1 in 7 games you'll find on Steam can be played on Linux. So finally here, I'd note that if you're interested in running Zorin OS or another Linux distro, but you need access to some Windows software, and lots of people are in that position, and it can't always be installed using Wine. In fact, a lot of Windows applications don't work using Wine. If you're in that position, you can always install a virtual machine. And again, I've got this here. If we just look under System Tools, and down here I've installed VirtualBox, so we'll run up VirtualBox. I found this in the software store, and I brought across a virtual machine from another computer, Windows 10, as you can see. Let's just run that up. It's been suspended. Won't take it too long to come up. And here we are now running Windows 10 as a guest virtual machine in Zorin OS, which would allow us to run a very wide range of Windows applications. And so, as you can see, we have a lot of software choice here in Zorin OS, both Linux software and access to at least some Windows software. And in fact, there's yet another means we could use to access Windows software here in a Linux distro, and that is something I'll be covering in next week's video. Oh look, it's once again a pink time of day, and I thought we'd finish off by taking a look at Zorin OS 16 Pro, the paid edition of Zorin OS. So what do you get if you pay $39, pounds or euros for Zorin OS 16? Well, it seems to me you get 4 things. Firstly, you get to help out the developers who have to earn some money from somewhere. Secondly, you get support, specifically support, as we can see here on the web, with installation. And whilst installing Zorin OS is not that difficult, as we saw earlier in the video, some people will find having support for installation very reassuring. Thirdly, inside Zorin Appearance, you get some additional layouts. You have the 4 we already had in Zorin OS Core, but down here there are 4 more. And they are, first of all, a Mac-like layout, which is very Mac-like, as you can see down here. Secondly, there is a Windows 11-like layout, which they've been clearly fast on the uptake to get this one in, and it looks like Windows 11 with its centralized start menu. Oh joy. Thirdly, there is an Ubuntu-type layout with a dock down here. And finally, there is a Windows Classic layout with a slightly different type of menu. Although, personally, I still prefer their basic Windows-like layout up here. This is my favourite Zorin OS layout. Although I think I'm going to just give it the dark theme again, because I do like having that dark theme. Where is it? Over there under theme probably, Christopher. There we are. We'll do the dark theme, and we'll also put on our desktop the home icon. Finally, the Pro edition of Zorin OS contains a lot more pre-installed software, all of which you could download for yourself for free in Zorin OS Core, but buying Zorin OS Pro saves you the effort. And if we bring up a clean edition of Zorin OS Core on the right of the screen, we can do a quick comparison. There's not a lot of difference in accessories, a few more things in the Pro version. Games, I think, is the same. Graphics, there's a lot more software. Blenders here for 3D modeling and compositing and things like that. We've got Darktable for working with digital images. We've got Inkscape. We've got Krita, the fantastic painting package. Do check out my Krita video. We've got LibreCAD, we've got Scribus for desktop publishing. If we look under Internet, not a lot of differences there, a few more things. Under Office, we have a home banking application and an application for freehand drawing for taking notes. Under Sound and Video, there's a lot more things. The Ardor digital audio recorder, Audacity for recording audio as well, Handbrake for transcoding, Kdenlive is pre-installed for video editing. And if we continue down here, we've also got things like OBS Studio to help with podcasting, streaming, things like that. Under System Tools, I think things are pretty much the same. And finally, under Utilities, again, I think we've got a fairly similar experience. But let's just run up the disk usage analyzer, where we can see that Zorin OS Pro requires about double the drive storage space of Zorin OS Core. Zorin OS 16, in both its Core and Pro editions, is an excellent distro for those wishing to transition from Windows to Linux. So, if you're thinking of maybe jumping ship from Microsoft, I'd strongly recommend that you check out Zorin OS. But now that's it for another video. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, please press that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I hope to talk to you again very soon.